was to punch this guy here, now if I was punching like this, it may not be overly impressive, right? You'd want to punch him with a straight wrist. So in order to produce the most amount of force, our wrist does need to be somewhat straight. And a lot of times with a lot of the female lifters, and sometimes some of the guys, sometimes they'll see that weight just really sitting back in their fingers more so than it is in their actual hand. So we can prevent that with A, with wrist wraps, and B, by just squeezing the barbell.
Hey guys, so today we had a special treat up at the Warhouse Gym. Mark Bell, Silent Mike, and Brandon Lilly actually also made a surprise visit up to all participate in a seminar. So mainly what went over today was just some tips for powerlifting in general. Covered a lot of questions of a lot of the members and a lot of the people visiting from across the state. So some stuff that went over was Mark had mentioned a really good cue for the bench is to keep your feet directly on your knees, and that's just a good cue for, I guess, not having your butt lift up. I know that's worked for me as far as keeping on my toes and having those a little bit under my knee, and to have your hips a little bit higher than your knees are on the bench. Another cue that he mentioned that I thought was kind of interesting, other than obviously you hear, oh, bend the bar in half as you're bringing it into the descent, but I've never heard attempt to spread the bar apart on the way up before. So that was an interesting little tidbit I got from him during the seminar. Another thing that Mike mentioned actually was those who generally have a wider grip tend to benefit from a larger arch, and vice versa. So if you don't have the same amount of thoracic mobility, you might benefit from staying a little bit more narrow, which seems a little bit intuitive if you really think about it, because you tend to see some lifters like Owen Hubbard in the IPF who tend to have, he has quite a magnificent arch and tends to have really wide grip. Another takeaway that I got from the seminar was working with too much weight can make it extremely difficult to hammer down your technique. Sometimes it just takes a little while to develop a motor pattern, and it's much easier to ingrain those types of motor patterns with some maximal weight. Overall, for me today too, I got most of my working sets done during the seminar itself. So I got done my deficit deadlift work and my high bar squatting work, and PR'd on high bar squat with 380 for multiple sets of 15, and then here you see me working with 450 for deficit for sets of 8. So normally I have those switched around where I'll do deficit pulls first, but today it just worked out better because everybody was upstairs and away from the basement platform as well as the squat racks up there. But right now I'll let you guys have a little listen to the seminar real quick.
Same thing with someone who's like 6'8" or 6'9". When they go to do a squat, they're like, holy shit, this guy's got a lot of things. Or even just above 6'2". They got a lot of things to think about. 6'2" and thin, kind of like that guy there. 6'2" and thin, you got a lot of things to think about as you're trying to organize your body, because you just don't have the structure that maybe somebody else might have. Yeah, that's okay. We're going to grab the bar. We're going to set your feet up. And then we still want to try to get a little bit more. So put your feet back up on the bench. And then put your upper body up. And then tuck your shoulder blades into like your back pocket. There we go. Good. Now your chest is up. Now put your feet down. And now bench like that. Keep that rib cage up. And then just bring the elbows in a little closer to your body. Another thing that we'll see that's a little different with women as opposed to most men, it kind of depends. The typical thing we'll see with a lot of women is the weight is kind of held in their fingers a little bit more and their wrist is back. It's not a huge issue, but if you were to think about punching somebody, if I was to punch this guy here, Now if I was punching like this, it may not be overly impressive, right? You'd want to punch him with a straight wrist. So in order to produce the most amount of force, our wrist does need to be somewhat straight. And a lot of times with a lot of female lifters, and sometimes some of the guys, sometimes they'll see that weight just really sitting back in their fingers more so than it is in their actual hand. So we can prevent that with A, with wrist wraps, and B, by just squeezing the barbell really hard. Good job. You want to try this?
What was also nice today is I got the chance to pick the brain of a few guys. So Brandon Lilly came up, and Silent Mike, I got the chance to talk to both of them a little bit. First of all, if you guys aren't following them, which I'm sure you probably are already, if you can find me on YouTube, those two are great resources, both really down-to-earth guys. But I talked to both of them about, they both had a similar issue to me where they were stuck around the same deadlift for an extended period of time. So I talked to them about what really helped them both. Mike actually had told me something extremely insightful that tends to get overlooked a lot. A lot of people think that, oh, you need to do things like deficit deadlifts, rack pulls, to really strengthen certain portions of the lift, which may be true, but some of the ways that people lift might be overlooked. For instance, he told me what helped him was to really ingrain those motor patterns, as I mentioned earlier, but one of the ways that helped him do that was focusing and really controlling that eccentric portion of the lift on the way down. So I thought that was a very valuable bit of information. Brandon, on the other hand, had told me when he was stuck at 725, he went on 8-week cycles where he just tried to get better at pulling 500, 550, and so on, and every 8 weeks he'd tend to pull a heavy double or single with like 675 or something like that, and every cycle he'd go up either 5 pounds or add an additional set, really sort of not focusing on that heavy weight and just building a little bit more, focusing on maybe speed, ingraining those motor patterns. Again, if you guys are noticing a trend here, that's really important. But these are some tips that I just thought would be very useful. It was great seeing some of these guys again. I highly encourage you guys to go check out their YouTube channels and their Instagram pages. And real quick, one last thing, I just want to give a big shout out to Rob Bailey, Linn Bailey, and the staff of the Warhouse Gym for putting on such a great event. And hopefully there'll be many more in the future. In the meantime, like, share, and subscribe this video if you enjoyed it and found its information valuable. And for future content like this, keep watching, I guess.